friend? Oh, more friends. Okay. Both are good. I was like, wow, honest. Okay. All right. No social media. Interesting. I like it. How many of you would say, I wish my parents would let me have social media? Anybody? Okay. More what? Squishmallows? Oh, okay. How many of you would say a new car? Yeah, how many of you can drive? Yeah? New car would be nice, right? All right. What else? What else? If you have it right now, your life would be immediately better. An old school phone, okay. To not have rare diseases. Okay, yeah. No school. How many would amen that one? Yeah, no school. See, we all have this perception that there's going to be something that's going to make our life better, whether it is the new phone or the new app or the new whatever, the new car. Maybe it's the no school thing. Maybe it's your own room where you don't have to share with your siblings. Anybody? Like, that was one that I wanted when I was younger. Maybe it has to do with like whatever team we want to make the starting lineup, or make the play, or land the role, whatever it is. Maybe it's an acceptance into the college of your dreams to be able to get to go in. Or maybe it has to do with your faith. Maybe it's to finally get over a habit that you've been trying to kick. Maybe it's becoming more consistent in a habit you actually want to have. Or maybe it's just living the way that God wants us to live. We all have this idea that there's something out there that if we got it, our life would be immediately better. The problem is, if any of you have ever gotten something that makes your life better, next week there's another thing that's going to make your life better. Is that right? Like, marketers and advertisers are so much smarter than you. Like, Dave Ramsey talks about this on his show, but they spend billions, with a B, dollars every single year to figure you out. What do you track when you're on social media? What links do you click on? What's tied back to your account so we can advertise to you? Any of you ever had like I'm craving pizza, and you open your phone and there's an ad for pizza creepily because it was listening to you, because it was. And you just are constantly sending messages all day that you need this for your life to be better. You need that for your life to be the life that you've always dreamed of. You need this course to learn this skill to make this living, and you don't have to pay college's expensive tuition, right? There's always a dream that's being sold to you for what's going to make you happy, for what's going to give you the better life, the good life. And the problem is none of those things deliver on that promise. None of those things deliver because we've all gotten something that we thought at one point would make us happier, would make our life immediately better. And maybe it did for a minute. But then it wore off. It's kind of like the shiny new coin. Once it's, wears off, then it's like, well, what's next? I need another one. And that's just life. We're constantly chasing after the next big thing. And oftentimes we think the thing that will make our lives better is something outside of us. Whether it is a better relationship with somebody, or better health, or a better thing, or a better achievement. Whatever it is, there's something outside of us, out there, that if we could just grab, it would immediately make our life better. And that's where, Christians and non-Christians alike, we deal with this. These are the messages we get in our heads. And real talk, it just doesn't work that way. I know this, you know this, but when it comes to the day-to-day, we often forget this. And we still go on chasing the wind. We still go on chasing after things that won't fulfill us. And the reality is, you can achieve all the things that you want to achieve. You can get all the things that you want to get. You can have all the relationships you want to have. At the end of the day, it won't be enough. You will only find that your life wasn't all that different because of those things. Because you weren't all that different. Let me say that again. If you get whatever it is that you're wanting that's going to immediately make your life better, and you discover it's not going to make your life better, the reason is because while that thing may have been different in your life, you weren't different. You're still the same you. And so if we want to have the good life, if we want to have a life that's worth living, then it's got to come from somewhere else. And sometimes that might be depressing, right? But how do we get the full life that we want? It kind of begs that question. Right now you're in high school. So you want the best class schedule. You want How many of you, let's be honest, you want the easiest class with the best teacher that doesn't give any homework, or doesn't give much homework, or gives grace when you don't turn in your homework, right? Yeah, we all take the path of least resistance when given the opportunity. So that's kind of, we want to have a full life, and that means less homework and more time with friends, or less work obligations and more time with video games or whatever it is that you're into. That's just the reality. So if we have to find something else, if none of those things are it, then how do we find the good life? And that's honestly what we're going to be talking about this entire series. We're going to be in it for the next 4 weeks, and I'm really excited because it's so applicable to everybody today, but especially in the season of life that you're in. Some of you entering high school, some of you on the way out, and this is going to be just as applicable to each and every one of you. So we're going to be looking in one of Paul's letters to the church in Galatia. Now, if you don't know, Paul was one of the earliest apostles. He wrote a lot of letters to the churches that he visited in the first century, and that's what we have in our New Testament, letters to churches. And so he's writing to the church in Galatia who wrestled with this very same thing, because while technology is advanced and nations have evolved, we as a people are still the same, wrestling with the same issues, having the same nature inside of us. And so the stuff that he talks about is still just as applicable today. So he writes this letter to the church in Galatia, and he says this about having the good life. He says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance," or that means patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So let's unpack that a little bit. When he's talking to the church in Galatia, he's telling them, they're thinking about how to have the good life, right? How to avoid temptation. The whole letter is about being liberated, right? Oftentimes we as Christians associate like rules as chains, and especially outside the faith, like rules equal like lack of freedom. And being a Christian means I can't do what I want to do because I got to be a little goody two-shoe and be Christian and all that good stuff, right? It means there's restrictions on my life. There's things that I have to say no to. I have to be a different person. I have to have a different way of living and find different ways of having fun. And so the whole letter, the theme is liberation. How to be liberated, and how there is freedom in Christ that is not found anywhere else. And he says, this is near the tail end of the letter, but the fruit of the Spirit are these things: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is what he's saying. In other words, the question of what the good life looks like isn't the things that we've been chasing after. In fact, it's to be something different. It's to be loving and joyful, to have patience and peace, to be able to demonstrate kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, to let this be the overflow of who we are. And this is the good life. It's not just striving to do something, because let's be honest, if you've ever tried by your own willpower to do something great or to not do something bad, our willpower will fail us. Because at the end of the day, it's just more fun to watch Stranger Things than to do our homework. At the end of the day, it's just more fun to shirk responsibility. It's easy. What's not easy is to demonstrate the fruit of the Spirit. To demonstrate the stuff that Paul is talking about. But this is what it means to have the good life. And nobody's going to read that list and be like, no, I don't need any of those things, right? We all want love from other people. We all want to have true joy that's not just rooted in our circumstances, which are ever-changing, right? We want to have all these things, and most importantly, we want to receive those things from other people. If you're anything like me, the person that pulls out in front of me is the devil himself on the road. And patience is really not one of my strong suits. Anybody relate with me on that? Like terrible. Like, you pull out in front of me, you're dead to me. Like, you're a truck, pickup truck in Walmart parking lot taking up 4 spaces. I hate you and you deserve to go to hell, right? No, I'm just kidding. That was a little harsh. But in my unfiltered, unfruit of the Spirit self, I would say that that's how I actually feel. Oh, but wait, I have to allow myself to produce the fruit of the Spirit, right? What if my willpower isn't good enough to be the kind of man I want to be? Any of you have a vision of yourself that's better than the real version of you? Like, you think about yourself in your head and you're like, man, in my mind, by the time I was in high school, I was going to be such a better person than I am. And now you're in high school and you're like, well, maybe when I'm in college. Maybe when I'm an adult. maybe when I don't have all these responsibilities of high schooling, right? That's just a lie. So how do we have the fruit of the Spirit? Paul goes on. He says this, since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. This means the good life is living in step with the Spirit. Okay. Let me let you in on a little secret. You can get the whole world. You can have everything you ever wanted. And it will not be enough for you. We can learn this from those who have achieved the best. Those who are at the top of their field, who have accomplished everything in the world, who have Grammys, who have awards, who have been to the moon, who have done everything, who have won the Super Bowl, and their lives are still empty. You can achieve all your heart's desires, and it won't be enough. So having the good life, if Paul is correct, then that means walking in step with the Spirit. So how do we do that? That's a better question, right? How do we live by the Spirit? How do we have the good life as found by living step in step with Jesus rather than trying to be the right person all the time or get all the right things? Because our willpower will fail us, things will fail us. It means taking the pressure off of having to do more and instead learning to live tuned into the presence of God. If we could do that, that would change everything. If we could live our lives where we are connecting with God every day, rather than trying to do everything ourselves, that would do wonders for our mental health. That would do wonders for how we live our lives. Jesus echoed this. Actually, Paul echoed Jesus, but Jesus said something that's related to this in John's gospel. John was one of his closest disciples, and he wrote down a lot of the things that Jesus said, and this is what he said. He said, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, and I in you, you will bear much fruit. It's that fruit imagery that Paul was talking about. But apart from me, you can do nothing. Now, we know that this is true because in order to produce fruit, the apple has to at some point be connected to the tree. It has to get the nutrients, it has to grow. It has to come from the tree itself. You have to be connected to the vine in order to produce its fruit. The same applies to what Paul is talking about when it comes to the fruit of the Spirit. How do you produce the fruit of the Spirit? It's not your own willpower because you'll fail. You're naturally good at some of those things because of your personality. But apart from the vine, you are not going to be able to produce any other fruit. And it'll show in your relationships. It'll show in your work ethic. It'll show in every other area of your life if you are not connected to the vine. Think about it this way. Everybody take out your phone. Okay? Now, I want you to do this. If you have an iPhone, this is really easy. I don't know how it's done on Android, but swipe down from the corner. Okay? If you have an iPhone or if you have an Android, just hit this little airplane. You know what that does? Airplane mode. What's that do? It shuts off everything. Be more specific. Everything related to the internet. So, okay, I'm on airplane mode. I'm no longer connected to anything. It's just this. What can I do on this now? That's not true. Watch this. I'm going to take a selfie. That's cool. I can even make it a live photo, so there's audio captured. Okay? I can, let's see, I can't send texts. I can play games. I've got some games downloaded on here that don't require the internet. Play wordscapes. You can use your calculator. It can think for you as far as math is concerned, right? In other words, there's a lot of things you can do with it, but there's limitations. There's only so much you can do. But if you swipe down again and you turn airplane mode off and you're back to connection, you got Wi-Fi, you got data. Now you can do all kinds of things. You can connect to Snapchat and you can snap each other from across the room and be like, hey, I see you. You can watch on YouTube and have your AirPods in and hide it with your hood so I can't see you, even though the people behind you can. You can do whatever you want. That's not directed at anybody. I don't see anybody doing that. I know you do it at school. But you can do all kinds of things now. Now that I'm connected, I can call people. I can FaceTime. I can connect on Facebook. Nobody wants to do that. I can connect on YouTube. I can connect on, you get the picture. There's so much more that you can do when your phone's connected to the internet. Okay? You have been given unique talents and gifts and personalities by God, and you can do a lot on your own, but you're limited. There's only so far that your own talent can get you. But when you are connected to the vine, what is produced in your life is the fruit of the Spirit. And that fruit is transformative. It will change your life and take you places you yourself cannot go. It will transform your relationships to be the healthiest version that is possible. They will help your achievements because you will be doing it not for yourself, but for the Lord. And through your weakness, He is made strong. So when you are connected to the vine, as Jesus talks about, then you can produce the fruit that only comes from God. The fruit of the Spirit. And that's what Paul says is the good life. The good life is not having or getting or achieving. The good life is transformation into the version of yourself that God created you to be. And it'll be a lifelong journey. You'll have hiccups and failures all along the way. But something inside of us has to change for us to have the kind of life that we want. It's not about doing, it's about becoming. It's not about rule following, it's about transformation. So stay in step with the Spirit and be transformed. If you do that, then each day, I promise you, it'll have its up and downs. There'll be seasons, but each day, if you stay consistent with that, you will have the good life. And the way you do that is, first off, you have to take it step by step. Now, just the way you walked into this room, just the way you walked in line for dinner, you didn't just snap your fingers and suddenly you were sitting here at the table after you checked in with a nice plate of tacos, right? You had to go in line and you had to walk step by step to the line to grab the food, to come up, to sit down, to eat, to then be satisfied, right? Especially if you had that Baja sauce from Taco Bell, right? Anybody else have that? My favorite. I cannot wait for the Taco Bell in Franklin to be renovated because I'm dying a little bit inside each day. Okay, beside the point. But you get what I'm saying. You get places step by step, one step at a time. You don't suddenly wake up and have, this awesome relationship with God. You haven't just woken up and suddenly that habit is just gone. You've kicked it. You don't just wake up and suddenly you're like the man you've always wanted to be or the woman that you've always wanted to be. It's step by step, little by little. Be consistent in staying connected to the vine. So the second thing is to take steps to connect with Jesus. Practice the skills to grow your faith. Okay? If you do this step by step each day, I promise it will be transformative. It will change your life. It will change your relationships, and it will change the trajectory of where you can go. If we want to know what Jesus is like and what the transformative power of His Spirit can do in our lives, we have to walk in step with Him. We have to intentionally go out of our ways to connect with Him. Whether that is spending time each morning just saying a little prayer before you start your day, and it grows from there. Maybe you start with just 30 seconds of devoted attention, airplane mode. You can last 30 seconds, say a prayer, and then build on that. There's Devos. If you have the free Bible app, the YouVersion app, you can look up the good life, and there's a plan on there that correlates with the series. And it'll take you like less than 5 minutes to go through it. Maybe a little more if you want to do it as a group or do it with one or two people, and you can chat about it afterwards. You can stay in tune and connected with each other while being connected with God. There's different tools at your disposal. You can spend time maybe journaling, go on a walk. I feel like closest to God when I'm out in nature. Like, spend time connecting with the Father. Maybe that's just putting in your AirPods, listening to worship music as you brush your teeth in the morning, and focusing on Him for the day. That'll change your whole outlook, but practice the skills you need in order to grow your faith, right? The Holy Spirit is already working in you to be the person that you need to be if you've given your life to Him. But it's about being someone, not doing something or having something or getting something. So I want you to think about that. Would it be worth it to at least take one step each day, maybe one step this week, to abide in Jesus? It would be worth it. It would be worth it. So when it comes for you, what comes to your mind when you think of the good life? Maybe it has nothing to do with any of the stuff we talked about. That's fine. Maybe it does. But you guys are going to have an opportunity each week to talk about this kind of stuff in your groups. And your groups are here because really we want to create a space where you have people that you know are in your corner. You have people that you know are going to hear you out and not judge you. You're going to have people who can show up at your door when crisis hits. You have people that can be your people. So that when you walk the halls in your school, you can look at each other, you got something in common. Maybe you don't go to school with anybody here. Maybe this is your connection to real Christ-centered community. We want to create a safe environment where you're able to have those relationships, but it won't happen overnight. It won't happen in the 30 minutes that we have in groups today. It will happen out of consistently showing up for each other, for the sake of each other, and for the sake of walking in step with the Spirit. I hope you find community here that transforms your life. During dinner, we were just talking with Mike Pertlebaugh, and we were talking about how his oldest, who was up here, he was playing electric tonight, and he's gone through college, he's an adult now, but he said he still hangs out with his small group from high school, living life together because of the transformative power that Christ-centered community had in their lives. I want that for you guys. I want you guys to be living proof that that is transformative. That you can have relationships that last a lifetime, that make you better, that encourage you, and push you to be the best version of yourself. That's not afraid to say the hard things, but will still love you through the hard moments. Will still love you through your mistakes. Will still love you through your stubbornness. You need people who are in your corner who can do that for you. So I encourage you for this series, for the next few weeks, to give that a shot. And I look forward to the places that you're going to be able to go and for this group to be able to go. So let me pray for you guys. And again, I'll introduce your leaders again. For those of you who might be new, we'll separate. We'll go. We got the whole building, basically, aside from a couple classrooms downstairs. And you can go anywhere, and you can have time together as a group and get to know each other a little better and all that good stuff. So let me pray, and we'll dismiss into that time.